Leading us through conversations this morning is, of course, our wonderful analyst we've got with us in the studio, Mr. Lakunle70. Lakunle, good morning, Lakunle.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Baker. Good morning, Lagos.
Good to have you here. And also, we have Fidel in the studio. Good morning, Fidel.
Good morning, Kaide. Good morning, Lagos.
All right. Welcome to the show. Don't forget, you can be a part of our conversation. You can reach out to us on WhatsApp or stream. It's 080944 Smooth 91 FM Lagos. And also use the hashtag Freshly Pressed 981 to be a part of our conversation this morning. The first story is from the Guardian newspaper, and it comes to you, Fidel. It talks about Nigerian businesses. So, Nigerian businesses review operations as power outage bites. Now, to put a background to the story, Nigerians and their businesses are suffering major hits as power outages and lingering shortages in petrol supply are spiking operational costs and eating deep into profits. Now, many individuals, businesses, and companies are adjusting their operations to curtail the untold hardship in the country. Fido, what are your thoughts about this?
Um, well, I'm finally this is making another headline, but I think we all know that. I mean, the post making the rounds on social media, no lights, no petrol, diesel is skyrocketing in the same Nigeria, and we're wondering what is our government doing, you know. So, I mean, it's only normal that when there's a crisis like this, I mean, I'd almost call this situation a force majeure. Businesses have to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
So, service apartments are cutting down uh, um, um, the number of times they can run power for their guests when there's no electricity. So them are even saying, go and source your generator yourself. And banks are reducing their operation hours, and I think this has been going on for long. I mean, there has been a power problem in Nigeria for years. Maybe because now some other parts of Nigeria, I mean, the elites are now feeling it. I mean, there's some estates you go to in this
Now, when you
our
say the elites are now feeling it, I think
yeah.
it's a case of where there's no the power situation is really bad, and also there's no diesel costs have gone up, and also there's no petrol in circulation as it used to be. That majorly is the problem.
I will tell you why I said the elites are now feeling it, right? So whether you like it or not, successful businesses are run by elites. This has nothing to do with politics,
Okay.
right? Now, if you go down the story, you see people like Tony Elumelu are complaining GT Bank is a business run by elites. I mean, for you to be in a service apartment, you have to have a certain level of or threshold of income,
Mm.
right? Now, this is the situation that has been going on in this country for long. But these businesses now have to come to the. I mean, businesses run and make budget for buying petrol, buying diesel, but that budget now, I mean, they have to rejig it and put more money inside it for petrol and diesel. Has the income or the profit they're making from these businesses has it changed? Not really, but these running costs have gone up. So I feel like at this point in time, um, we need to do more than just apologize to Nigerians. I mean, if you go down the story again, the president says he regrets the situation. I mean, what really does that do? The power grid is supposed to have come up, but we haven't. As that the end user, has it really changed?
Okay, so Fido, we know that the effects of this could mean inflation, a rise in inflation. It could also mean that some prices will go up and not come down. So, what are the long and short-term solutions to, to mitigate this problem?
So, like I said, I think I've said it here before. I feel like first of all, there needs to be more private hands when it comes to power generation in Nigeria. So when I mean, let me say power, the business of power in Nigeria, down the value chain, especially where we have the TCN, because clearly, I mean, the Gencos will tell you that they do generate enough power, right? But the problem comes from where the discos are emitting. Yeah, the discos are
Transmission.
emitting. Yeah, yeah. So between the Gencos and the discos, there's the TCN. So the problem comes when the discos are remitting back to the Gencos, right? So between those two players,
Do you
there's
think
a
they need a
TCN.
bailout? Do you think they need a bailout? Should that sector be subsidized? Because okay, we've seen how subsidy has worked for petrol, right? And some people have said, hey, let's take away that subsidy. But do you think that maybe that segment, that sector needs to be subsidized so that there will be stability, and then we'll have more investors coming. Because a lot of people have said that, hey, if there is power, there's constant power, lots more businesses will thrive. That means that there'll be more foreign investors. So do you think that there should be some type of bailout or subsidy, or do you think that there should be some type of intervention if there is no subsidy in that regard?
Kari, I'm no finance expert, but one thing I know for certain is this: if we have more private hands who know what they're doing, handling entities like the TCN, we already have private players in the Gencos and Disco space. If we have private hands in the TCN, there might be some improvement. I don't know how fast or how rapid it will happen, but
Okay.
I know it will happen.
So your solution is that the government should take off their hands,
They
and
need to. They need to.
All right, thank you so much for that. Don't forget, we can reach it. We're going to reach your messages on our WhatsApp platform. It's 0809 Lachlan, let's move on to your story. So this one is from the Punch newspaper. It talks about the federal government. Um, Federal government will gain excess foreign earnings from Dangote fertilizer plant. Now, of course, the president was here yesterday to commission parts of the plant. Now, the president, that's Muhammadu Buhari, on Tuesday hailed Africa's richest man. That's Mr. Aliko Dangote, describing him as the biggest employer of labor after the federal government. Now, he stated this during a speech when he inaugurated the multi-billion-dollar Dangote fertilizer plant. And, outside the fact that this is going to employ a lot of people, it's also going to ease the burden of petrol. But in general, though, talking about the foreign exchange, foreign earnings, where does Nigeria come in this regard?
Okay, so let me start by responding to your question quickly. It then means that today you hear the government subsidizes procurement of fertilizers for farmers, blah blah blah, and majority of these fertilizers are imported. Okay, so producing this much is the second largest fertilizer plant in the world right now. Okay, so means that we might just possibly be able to produce all of our fertilizer need annually and then also export, as this says here that they are already exporting. So that means then that the normal application to the CBN on an annual basis that I need $1 billion, for example, to import fertilizers is also, when you take that much money off the demand on the CBN for dollars to import fertilizers, then that amount, whatever the amount is, can then be used in other areas. So the stress on the CBN to produce dollars for importing fertilizers is off.
Okay.
So it helps to save our foreign reserve that way. Now, the big part of the story for me, the more interesting part of the story for me, is the fact that Dangote is, like the president said, is the largest employer of labor after the government in
Yes.
Nigeria today, right? And then the question, then the next thing to then say is that let every other people of ways and means copy Alhaji Dangote. Don't hide your wealth in the banks. Don't keep it in offshore accounts. Bring it home and look. There is opportunities where you can invest this monies that will employ our youth, that will create jobs, that will give a future to people. It also goes back to government, state governments. Encourage these people to bring home this money. What Lagos State government has done, and even the governor promised yesterday, he made a statement yesterday at the opening, at this commissioning. He said, look, we have land. If it is land that is the problem, don't think it's only Niger State, or mention a few states that has land. If you want to do any business that you need land, Lagos can give you land. Lagos is going out of its way to make things available for people. Yes, we might say that things are difficult. We just talked about the fueling, the diesel thing and all
Power
that.
grid.
But all of that, when we put all of that together, we need to start from somewhere. We can't take all these monies and go and hide in some other foreign countries, and then we are talking about unemployment. We are talking of insecurity. It is the on idle hands that will be employed to cause insecurity. So, in by and large of all of this is a win for Nigeria. This is a win for Lagos State. This is a win for every individual that is Nigerian. That a Nigerian has done something this huge, and we encourage others who have ways and means to do same.
All right. I've got a few messages here. This one coming in from Tipo. Tipo says, government has no business in business. The cost of petrol and diesel is running businesses is unbearable and unsustainable. Please Have we agreed for power distribution companies to increase tariffs? Taya comes in to say the enabling environment is now disenabling for everyone in Nigeria. I hope we realize that working in isolation isn't a sign of success. More messages coming in, but don't forget, you can also reach out to us on Twitter. Please use the hashtag freshlypressed981. Let's move on to our next story. This one from This Day newspaper. Court orders the AGF to remove NDDC from Niger Delta Ministry. So the Federal High Court, sitting in Yenagoa, that's in Bayelsa State, has directed the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to stop placing the Niger Delta Development Commission under any ministry, including the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. Fidel, please talk us through the story.
So it's our controversial Attorney General slash Minister of Justice. His actions are in the news again. So the court is asking that the Niger Delta Development Commission be a standalone, and then the interim I think it's an interim administrative body to run the Niger Delta be dissolved. I hope I got that right. And then the applicants who approach the court are the Wailing Women of the Niger Delta and the Integrity Friends for Truth and Peace Initiative. Look, I mean, I feel sorry when I feel bad when I hear news coming from the Niger Delta. I mean, imagine this with the Wailing Women of the Niger Delta, right? So it's so sad that whenever you see these bodies come out of the Niger Delta, they're just like cash cows, you know. You just see them as places where you can go and just grab your share of meat and then dash off, you know. So I hope I don't really know what exactly is going to be the outcome of this case, and I don't want to say too much about it, but I just hope that when we're handling the affairs of the Niger Delta, the the people who are put in place. I mean, before you'd say, oh, people in Abuja are insensitive to what happens in the components, but these are people from the Niger Delta misappropriating funds meant for the Niger Delta. You know, so I mean, I don't know. I really hope some sort of conscience or empathy will touch these people who are in administrative office. There's not much to say. There's not much to say.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Real quick, though, let's move on to our next story. This one talks about the CBN. In fact, it put a smile on my face for some various reasons, actually, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So, from the Premium Times, reps ask CBN to enforce use of 2 naira, 1 naira 50 kobo as legal tender. Now, the story reads, the House of Representatives has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to ensure acceptance of 2 naira, 1 naira, and 50 kobo as means of exchange in the country. And also, basically, the motion was not taken without debate, while the House Committee on Banking and Currency was mandated to ensure compliance. But then, luckily, at the inflation in Nigeria constantly rises, you know, monthly, yearly. At this point in time, it's about 17.33%. This is what the story says. So, do you see this? I mean, will this make any difference?
If my memory serves me well, my O-level economics, OA Lawal, I remember the name of the book. So that if it serves me very well, the content of inflation and all that. One of the things that was said in that secondary school economics textbooks was to say that one of the earliest casualties will be your lower denominations of your currency. Okay, so it is expected that once this happens, these are the things that we should see. Things that are sold at maybe 2 kobo. Ordinarily, the price will rise to 5 kobo, and the ones of 5 kobo will rise to 50 naira, and the 50 naira will rise to 10 naira. So gradually, when I go to the market, am I going to carry 10, 50 nairas in coins or in notes because I want to buy one 50 naira whatever, and then for the purpose that I am rounding up to the nearest 10, that's when you start to hear things like 3 for 10 naira, 4 for so when inflation happens, your lower currencies are going to be the first casualty of that event. Okay, so that's exactly what we're seeing. And this didn't happen, didn't start yesterday.
It's
It
been happening over
started,
the
it
years.
started from the moment we started to print higher denomination of notes. Okay, so at least I knew that there was a time the highest denomination of naira notes in Nigeria was a 10 naira note. I knew when the 20 naira note was printed in 1977. I knew when the 50 naira note was printed in 1992 or thereabout, and so on and so forth. And each time we print a higher denomination, you could see people's urge, people's desperation to own those higher notes. So these are the kind of things ordinary in itself. And when we're doing all this, what do we call it? Production, investments in other things um, that would keep inflation at par with what we're doing are absent. We're an importing country. We don't produce as much as we ordinarily should. We're just celebrating that yesterday we just have a fertilizer plant that will service us in Nigeria today. So imagine all those kind of things. If we're able to do all those things, so we cannot. The final point for me in all of this is that how the CBN is going to enforce the use of these currencies is what I'm looking forward to see.
But if
we can sit down and make laws.
For the sake of arguments, if it is enforced, right, do you think that it will be sustainable?
How is it going to be enforced? You are going to print the coins, right? You are going to. I will
print
go
the
to the
coins, of
bank.
course.
No, I'm saying we are going to print the
Make
coins.
yeah.
You are going to make the coins.
yes.
Okay. I'll go to the bank. I want to collect cash. You give me the coins, right? I'll collect it, yes. But then does it stop? Does this then mean that because I have the coins, one naira, then what they are selling to me at 100 naira, they will now sell it for
Prices
less?
will be reduced.
That means I would only carry equivalent 100 naira in the coins to the person I'm going to buy from.
All right.
So
Well, let's see where this goes. So, but you can get your thoughts in 0809-444-0981. That's where you can send your messages to. We've got a ton of messages up on our WhatsApp platform. We're going to get to those messages and then move on to our next story. This one here from Fabian from Request says, good morning, everyone. The government should create a level playing field so that entrepreneurs and businesses, and not just Dangote, can also grow and employ more people, improving the economy. And Samuel comes in to say, now, what a joke of the year. Let me ask, what can you buy with 5 naira? I've had a 10 naira note in my wallet for some time. I can't even spend it. I remember when this policy came around in 2005 and 2006, the banks were giving coins to us, but were not allowing it as deposits. No seller collected them for exchange. That's how I lost 1,000 naira then. MC Makani says, regarding the NDDC, the president erred by putting it under the minutes of the Niger Delta, the Ministry of the Niger Delta. The act that established the NDDC placed it at the presidency. Gilbert comes in to say, I like the angle of your analyst, hinging on the state government should equally encourage local investments from individuals. My take here is that for any project to be sustainable, it requires infrastructure, strong institutions, and discipline. In Nigeria, we have 4 refineries. Today, we're reaping the benefits. We are reaping the benefits. Okay. And Taya comes in to say, it's like someone just came back from the UK anyways, asking the CBN to enforce physical currency like coins while encouraging the same agency to push digital currency like e-naira. Whatever happened to the e-naira self? Okay, there are more messages here, but let's quickly get to the next story. And this one's from the Punch newspaper. So Buhari orders the finance minister to provide special funding for the Abuja runway, the Abuja airport runway. So the president, that's Muhammadu Buhari, on Tuesday in Lagos, the Minister of Finance, Budgets and National Planning, that's Zainab Ahmed, to source for funding for the second runway of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. Now, the president's request came at a time when the country is hard pressed with a foreign debt to the tune of 39.56 trillion. So, big question: where are we going to get this money from?
My brother, if you ask me, I wonder who I'm going to ask. I mean, I trust the capacity of.
How are we going to borrow some more?
Like I was going to say, I trust the capacity of Mrs. Zainab Ahmed. Maybe they've already hinted at where she will find the money. You know, I'm sure she should know where to get it. But really, the truth is, aviation is an area where we can generate funds. First off, Nigerians love to travel.
Okay.
Secondly, there's a lot of opportunities and there's a lot of markets, different markets in Nigeria that foreigners want to play in. So is developing the aviation industry an area for us to generate IGR in this country? Of course it is, right? So I mean, I'm surprised that Mr. President is just giving the finance minister this instruction now, like 2 years before he's going to leave office. I'm like, even if
A year, actually.
a year. So what time are they going to use to source the money? Then what time are they going to let us assume that she knows where to find the money? What time are they going to use to source the money? What time are they going to use to apply it? But I mean, government is continuity. But I mean, I believe that making I mean, I didn't know this. I found out that Lagos, apart from Lagos, I mean, Abuja, Kano, Port Harcourt are now free trade zones. So for the businesses or the businessmen, I mean, they should take note, right? Speak to your financial advisors. Maybe you can tap into these areas. But a debt of 39 trillion, it is only if there are businesses that are pumping money into moving goods and services outside these free trade areas. That's the only place I see that, apart from borrowing, let me state that, apart from borrowing, that is the only area I think the finance minister can, try remotely and generate these funds. And like Lakunle said, we need to encourage our local businesses to bring out money and do business, right? We need to get local businesses on a drive to bring out money and do businesses. That's the only way we can utilize these runways and these terminals that have been created. The Lagos terminal, I haven't been there, but I want
Well,
to
this
believe
is one of
It's a
this is one
beautiful
of 4 or
piece
5
of building.
terminals that was commissioned.
commission. Yes.
Yes.
So there's the Lagos one. I hear there's
There's
the one in
another in
Kano
Abuja.
is
The
almost
Abuja
completed.
one,
The Abuja, and then
the Kano.
So, but what does
Enugu
this mean, though? Does
is
this mean
behind.
more revenue in terms of aviation for us?
Indeed, like I said, right? It should mean more revenue if business is coming in and out. And what would make business thrive? Infrastructure, security, and then investment.
All right. Thank you so much for that. 0809-444-0981 still is where you can send your messages to. I see the messages. I'm going to get to them as quickly as possible. Also, we're taking messages on our YouTube platform. In fact, I think we should get to YouTube because there are lots of messages here. This one here from Olatunji Aladi says, here in the UK, they encourage the use of coins such that penny still remains relevant. The first paper note is £5. He further says, this is Odin. Odin says, I thought we were supposed to be going cashless and using e-naira. What is this coin business about? Someone wants to make a quick buck. And Olaolu Olagunju said, the power situation is a running joke. Energy and power supply should be national security issues. I wonder what happened to the Project Simmons electrification project. Okay, we also see messages on our Twitter platform. We'll get to those messages as quickly as possible, but let's move on to our next story. The federal government begins clampdown on illegal colleges of education across the country. This can be found from the Vanguard newspaper. So the federal government on Tuesday said it began clampdown on illegal colleges of education, and parts of the story talks about how 2019 institutions, I mean, they're clamping down on them basically, but luckily, what do you make of the story?
There are many things to be said that some of them should not be said on the air about this. But the first question to ask is one, how did illegal enter the equation in the first instance?
Okay.
Somebody just woke up and started a college and graduated students and are suddenly employable by some people. That's what it means. And now you now found them and you're now going to close them down. Or is it that the illegal ones are now extending into illegal business of education? This needs to be very clear to us to understand what illegal means.
Okay.
Having said that, now the next question to also ask is, personally, I am wondering what purpose the NC certification is serving today, because here we are, for example, Lagos State, just converted the Adeniro Ogunsoya College of Education into a University of Education. There had been a University of Education in Ogun State for about 10 years now. The Ogun State College of Education in Ijebu-Ode became Tai Solarin College of University of Education, and so on and so forth. The Ademi College of Education in Ondo had been an affiliate of Obafemi Awolowo University for many years, and they've been a degree awarding university. So I'm asking myself, why do we need 2019 certificate NCE certification colleges? Again, what purpose is this
So if the
serving?
government does clamp down on them, close down these schools, what then becomes of them? What then becomes of?
If they say they are illegal, that means that they have no license to practice at all in the first instance.
Okay.
So that's not even a discussion that we shouldn't be having.
Okay.
That should be done. But my question is, if we have 2,000 of such colleges, what purpose? So today, how many people ordinarily will put out an advert and say, I want NCE? That's the point of my argument, actually. Yes, it keeps children away from being idle, go to school. So
But
after
it's an
then,
irrelevant
what
choice.
happens? So those are the kind of things that we need to take a lot of bold and unpopular decisions about some of the things we have running in this country. We need to manage these things. If we're going to convert them to universities of education, if we're going to match them with a university's faculty of education or something, so that we that this is what we're turning out. So basically, that's my opinion about the colleges of education. Really,
All right. Thanks so much for that. Real quick, let's talk about toxic workplaces. It was a whole trend on social media yesterday, and it's your story, Fidel. So, from the Premium Times, employees of startup to get 35% tax break as reps pass bill for second reading. I mean, what do you make of the story?
Yeah, so like you said, it's been buzzing on social media between I think Monday and yesterday. So people have been talking about how startups, the workplaces around startup organizations, especially the tech space, are toxic and the bosses are mean or inconsiderate. And then now we have there's an executive bill before our lawmakers to give workers in startup space, in the startup space, I beg your pardon, a 35% tax break. It's just at the second reading. It's still fresh. Some other things that the bill hopes to do is define what the startup is. Also, give out some other incentives for employees of startups. We'll see how the bill progresses, and we hope it's going to benefit the people.
And also make the
I doubt it. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to affect a person's character or morality. It's just a bill in the house to
aid the workers,
and
make it
that's
better.
about it.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. Tons of messages. I'm just going to really touch on them real quick, and then wrap up this side of the show. So maybe the CBN should consider redenomination of the currency to make lower notes or coins valid if the future is cashless. This is maybe an academic exercise. And then this one says, from Jikwa says, please, we're not interested in tuna. Not accountable for due to inflationary trends. We're interested in the bullion, in the bullion van missing. It's absolutely irrelevant. Pure water is now 20 naira. All right.
Really?
This person says, Kashim says, they can't make laws to use a smaller denomination. They should try to aid the economy, and then they will not need to enforce the use of smaller denominations. And Tunji comes in to say, they want to force us to use coins. The cost of printing 10 naira coins, the cost of minting 10 naira coins or 10 naira notes is more than the value of the currency itself. And yeah, I mean, there are tons of messages here, but we sorry can't take all your messages right now. But there's more to come. In a few more minutes, it'll be the locker room, and after that comes Lagos Talks 91, where you get to talk to us and share with us your details. But you can take on the conversation with our analyst up on social media and tag us in the conversation. We are at Smooth 91 FM across all platforms, and you can find Fidel at Izotene on Twitter, and also Laconley on Twitter at Laconley70 on Twitter, and also on Instagram. Stay with us. There's more to come. This is Smooth 98.1.
How can you say that? How can you say that you are legislating tax?
What's that?
this tax thing. Paying tax is a
God,
state
2 minutes
business,
over. Oh my God.
isn't
Yeah.
it? Paying tax is state business,
Is
isn't it?
this
Yeah,
state or
my pay,
is
my
it,
tax, my personal income tax
yeah, income
goes to
tax
the
goes
state,
to
my
state.
resident
Yeah,
state.
yeah.
So why is it federal government, a federal? Anyway,
So
joint
so
tax
so
board
so
is a federal government, whatever.
yeah, but I
But they
mean,
will still
I
come
feel like
down to domestic. You cannot make those kind of laws without recommendation of the joint tax board, because if my state says no, I'm not agreeing, because you are using my source
Give
of
them a bag
income
of rice.
without my consent.
so okay, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying because ultimately the employee pays tax to the state.
Yes. So if you make a law at the federal level, you are